You've just filed a lawsuit against your employer for wrongful termination. Somewhere down the line, you're going to get a big payday where you get paid a lot of wages back. What's going to happen for tax purposes when that payday finally comes in? Hi, I'm John Strohmeyer with Strohmeyer Law. Today we're talking about what you should be expecting when you're expecting to win a wrongful termination lawsuit. Well, the short version is you're going to be paid those wages back if they are missed wages, if they are future wages, if it's any sort of compensation that looks like a wage. Guess what? You're going to be paying income tax on it. You're also going to be paying any other federal withholding that is required. Sorry, this is where there isn't a good answer on this, because once you're getting compensated and it looks like wages, the Internal Revenue Code is going to make sure that you get taxed on it as though those were wages paid to you. So here are a few things to be thinking about. Well, how are you going to get paid? You've got two ways to think about this. One, you can get either a 1099 or a W-2 payout. Now, either way, you're still going to have to report and pay tax on everything. So don't think that if you take a 1099, you're somehow going to be exempt from taxes, or you're not going to somehow have to pay any of those withholding. What happens with that 1099 is, yes, you're going to get all the payment out, and then what's going to happen is that when the company pays you on a 1099, they're saying you're not an employee, so you make sure that you are paying everything that you owe to the IRS. This can create some heartache down the line for you, because they're not going to be withholding income tax for you. They're also not going to be withholding any of the excise taxes or the normal employment taxes. So the Social Security, the 6.12 or 6.2% plus the 1.45% for Medicare, Medicaid that gets withheld. Now, if they're not withholding this, it means that you're probably being treated as self-employed. They may not be withholding either the employer side as well. This can create some sticker shock next in the following year when you have to report and pay tax on it, because you're going to have to pay, surprise, all of the income tax and all of the withholding taxes that were due. The other side of this is, well, if you take a W-2, the company, when it pays you out, is going to make normal withholding for you. So it's going to withhold those federal excise employment taxes for you. They're going to take that out and give it to the government. And so you don't have to. Net, you're going to end up in the same place. So you don't necessarily want to think, well, if I take a 1099, then I don't have to pay that tax. Ultimately, you're going to be paying that tax. So thinking about it as what's going to make sure that you get. So ultimately, you want to make sure that you're not in hot water with the IRS later. Well, how are you going to pay your attorney? There are a few things to think about this. And so let's start breaking down some numbers. Let's assume that your attorney is going to take 30% of your recovery as their fee. If we assume a $100 verdict, and I know the number's small, but that's the only way we can keep things easy, well, you're going to have to pay your attorney $30. Now what? Well, the company may want to pay 100% of that directly to the attorney. The attorney is going to take their $30 and then distribute the remaining $70 for you. So to back up again, $100 verdict, they pay $100 over to your attorney. You owe the attorney $30, you then get $70 in your pocket, and that's coming out of the attorney's account. Now, the bad news is you'll need to report the full $100 received as taxable income, but you should be able to deduct the $30 for your attorney fees as ordinary and necessary business expenses. You need to get with your CPA on correctly reporting that. Don't take my word for it. Make sure that you actually qualify for this. Next, it's possible that the company will pay the money to you or your attorney and then withhold employment taxes. So if we assume taxes are 15% on a $100 judgment, 85 of that would only be paid out. You don't want to pay that tax again, but those employment taxes are different than income tax, and you'll likely be responsible for both. Again, this is where it pays to have somebody like a CPA involved to help you make sure that you're getting the right amount paid. This is not a good place where if you're getting a big check from a recovery, where you want to take this by yourself. Spend the time to get a CPA on board to make sure you're getting it done. Now, one of the myths that is out there is that if the money comes out of an attorney's bank account, then it's tax-free. Surprise, this isn't how you're going to be able to avoid tax on it. The short version is, if somebody's telling you that you can take the money out of a lawyer's IOLTA or interest on lawyer's trust account, bank account, and not pay tax on it, that somehow you're not going to have to pay income tax on that, you need to walk away. This is bad advice. This is not how it works. You're still liable for income tax for whatever comes out of that lawyer's account. If you're being told that you don't have to pay tax on it, you need to run from that person. You need to make sure that you're not following those advices. Now, really, the only way to avoid income tax on any recoveries is if you're getting paid for some sort of injury, because generally compensation for injuries is going to be tax-free. So to put it all together, when you sue a company for back wages, generally you are going to be paying tax on that. Not only income tax, but also the standard withholding tax for Social Security and Medicare taxes. You do have an option as part of your negotiations to either get paid on a 1099 or a W-2 basis, but whichever one you choose, it's not really going to affect your ultimate, but whichever option you pick, it really shouldn't affect how your ultimate tax burden is determined. Ultimately, you're going to be paying full tax on it. It's probably better to be a W-2 in most cases, if only because it's going to avoid you getting some sticker shock in the year after recovery when you have to send off your payment to the IRS. Remember, again, that you are going to need to report the full value of this. You're going to have to classify the right amounts as taxable and non-taxable, and possibly take the appropriate deductions. Again, the best option is getting your CPA involved on this so you can get it done right the first time. Thanks so much for watching. If you've got other questions about this, go ahead and leave a question in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.